When CEOs, celebrities, and rappers need personal protection, they call in men and women with a particular set of skills. Bodyguards provide a physical barrier against anyone wishing their clients harm. But there's a lot more to the job and a lot that people misunderstand about the profession, including lots of rules to follow and standards they must meet. So in today's video, we're going to go over some of the strict rules rappers' bodyguards have to follow. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. The first strict rule a rapper's bodyguards must follow is no cursing. Despite the profusion of profanities in a lot of rapper songs, it seems that away from the recording studio and the stage, some prefer to keep things clean. An example of this is from Eminem. When he was bringing up his 3 children, his daughter Haley and his 2 adopted daughters Elena and Whitney, the rapper banned cursing at home, and it became a habit that was hard to break. While his daughters are young ladies now and don't need so much protection from bad language, the no swearing rule seems to have stuck, and Eminem prefers not to hear too many curse words from his entourage when he's on tour. Another rule is don't stare. Many rappers have a very recognizable sense of style or are very easily recognized in public. While this may be great for certain rappers, some prefer to stay a little under the radar when out and about, as having a bunch of people stare at you isn't the most delightful. So the bodyguards have to do their best to bring as little attention to them or the rapper and keep them away from the prying eyes of members of the public. When working crowd control or trying to corral legions of screaming teenagers, having a massive physical presence comes in handy, but not all close protection specialists need to be the size of a professional wrestler. It depends on the client, says Anton Kalajian, the founder of Guardian Professional Security in Florida and former head of security for 50 Cent. It's kind of like shopping for a car. Sometimes they want a big SUV and sometimes they want something that doesn't stick out at all. There is a need for a regular looking guy in clothes without an earpiece, not a monster. That said, this brings us to our next rule. Guns and fists are pretty much useless. Depending on the environment, protecting a musician at a concert is different from transporting the reviled CEO of a pharmaceutical company. Bodyguards may or may not come armed. According to Kent Moyer, president and CEO of World Protection Group and a former bodyguard for Hugh Hefner, resorting to gunplay means the security expert has pretty much already failed. People don't understand that this is not a business where we fight or draw guns, Moyer says. We're trained to cover and evacuate and get out of harm's way. The goal is no use of force. If a guard needs to draw a gun to respond to a gun, Moyer says he's already behind. If I fight, I failed. If I draw a gun, I failed. Another strict rule for bodyguards is that they need to be prepared for paparazzi. For protection specialists who take on celebrity clients, news and gossip site TMZ.com can prove to be a valuable resource. I love TMZ, Moyer says. It's a treasure trove for me to see who has problems with bodyguards and who got arrested. Such news is great for client leads. Moyer also thinks the site's highly organized squad of photographers can be a good training scenario for protection drills. You can look at paparazzi as a threat, even though they're not, and think about how you'd navigate it. Plus, having cameras at a location before a celebrity shows up can sometimes highlight information leaks in their operation. If photographers have advance notice, Moyer says, then security needs to be tightened up. Something many may not know about being a bodyguard is that sometimes they need to protect employers from employees. Workplace violence has raised red flags for companies who fear retribution during layoffs. Alan Scheisel, a former New York City police sergeant and founder of Integrated Security, says he dispatches guards for what he calls hostile work termination appointments. We get a lot of requests to provide armed security in a discreet manner while somebody is being fired, he says. They want to be sure that the individual doesn't come back and retaliate. The next strict rule bodyguards have to follow is to always use private planes. There aren't many celebrities who have a decent standing who still fly on a scheduled airline alongside members of the public. Even first-class tickets aren't exclusive enough for someone who likes their privacy as much as Marshall Mathers does. While not every rapper owns their own personal private jet, many do use or prefer private planes to make most of their long-distance journeys across the states and around the world. One misconception about bodyguards is that they live this amazing life. This is usually because bodyguards are often seen within arm's reach of a celebrity, which leads some to think that they must be having the same experiences. However, this is not the truth at all. A big misconception is that we're living the same life as celebrities do, Kalajian says. Yes, we're on a private jet sometimes, but we're not enjoying the amenities. We might live in their house, but we're not enjoying their pool. You stay to yourself, you make your rounds. Guards that get wrapped up in a fast-paced lifestyle don't tend to last long, he says. Another rule bodyguards have to follow is to stay sober. While many rappers have this rule, one example of this is Eminem. Fans of this rapper might expect that his tours would be pretty wild affairs, and while that may have been true back in the day, these days the rap star is more likely to have an early night than party the night away. It is well known that Eminem has had problems with substance abuse in the past, but he has made a collective effort to get clean and to stay clean, with help from an unexpected source, singer Sir Elton John. Because of his problems in the past, there is zero tolerance for anyone caught on an M&M tour with anything they shouldn't have. Although many bodyguards are actually hired to protect someone, sometimes they're just there for the show. For some, being surrounded by a squad of serious-looking people isn't a matter of necessity. It's a measure of status on the level of an expensive watch or a fast car. Firms will sometimes get calls from people looking for a way to get noticed by hiring a fleet of guards when there's no threat involved. It's a luxury amenity, Schissel says. It's more of a look at me, look at them thing, agrees Moyer. There's no actual threat. It's about the show. I turn those down. We do real protection. Many of us watch reality TV shows to see how our favorite stars live and how they relate to those close to them. But with the majority of these shows being scripted, we find ourselves longing for more. Luckily for us, those who are close to celebrities often come out to share their experiences. So to top it all off, the latest to reveal details of his relations with a celeb is Steve Stanolis, the former bodyguard of billionaire rapper Kanye West. And according to Cosmopolitan in a recent interview on a podcast, Steve opened up about the ridiculous rules he had to follow while working for the rapper. Kanye wanted you to stay 10 paces behind him on a city street. So obviously if someone is going to come up and do something, by the time I try to run up and prevent it, it would have already happened, he said. Steve, who has also worked for Leonardo DiCaprio, Woody Harrelson, and Robert Downey Jr., labeled the I Love It hitmaker his least favorite people to work with before detailing another incident where Kanye allegedly ranted and raved at him on his first day for not knowing which floor he was meant to be going to in a lift. The first day I met him, it was Fashion Week. I was supposed to meet him at the studio, Steve recalled. When he gets there, we get into the elevator and he says, "Aren't you going to push what floor we're going to?" I was like, "I have no idea what floor. It's my first day." So he starts ranting. "So you mean you didn't call ahead to find out where I'm supposed to be going?" I said, "No." So he's ranting and raving. So I said, "Look, bro, we can do this one of three ways. One, you could tell me what button to press and now I'll know. Two, you could press the button and I'll see which one you press so I'll know. Or three, you can sit here all day and tell me how important your time is and we're not going to go anywhere." He continued before saying Kanye then opted for the third option. Steve also shared his experience with Kanye's wife, Kim Kardashian West, who he believes calls paparazzi on herself and Kanye. There's no way every time they are leaving all these people know about it. There's definitely somebody calling ahead. That's just my opinion. I'm just saying it's coincidental that wherever we are, they're always there. Maybe they're just better than I think they are, he said. And with that said, that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching.